with live interviews, reporting, debate, and discussion. WZND's Red Zone brings you all the sports you can handle each week. The Red Zone starts now, only on 103.3 WZND, the pulse of Redbird Nation.
Happy Thursday, birds, and welcome into this edition of the Red Zone here on 103.3 WZND, the pulse of Redbird Nation. I'm Mikey Fornelli, back in the saddle today. We could talk about this all day, to be completely honest with you. Kaylee, we'll have to have you on again during the season in the winter and talk a little bit about what's going on with the team. But thank you for joining us for this segment, and you can hear her report on the team again throughout newscast this week on ZND on Monday. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for Pick 6. You're listening to the Red Zone.
This is Barstool Big Cat, and you're listening to the Red Zone on 103.3 WZND.
Welcome back to the Red Zone. It's time for Pick 6. We make our picks for 6 of this weekend's NFL games, and you people decide if you want to ride with me or David based on the standings. It's looking like it's going to be more of David going forward. I don't have the standings in front of me this week. I sometimes read them all off, but I think we could just say that Steve and David are tied at the top. Guest and Dane are right at their heels. And then there's me down in the cellar of Pick 6 after consistently picking the Bears and Bucks week in and week out. Starting it off with the Lions and Bears. David Moses.
Oh, the Bears. It's been a long time coming. I have not bet on my Bears in about 3 weeks. And strategically, though, I am a real fan, trust me. But I like what they're doing right now. I'm going to go with Justin Fields after a historic week that he had last year. I don't think he's going to fall off too hard, especially against the, 1-5, 1-6 Lions.
Well, they got a win last week against the Packers.
Okay, two, whatever.
Yeah. And that's why I'm going to say the Bears, because if the Bears beat the Lions, which I think they will, then we are technically greater than Packers before our matchup in December. Kaylee?
I'm also going to say the Bears. A lot of Justin Field memes have just made it to my Twitter feed for some reason. And I don't really know why. I just know my friends are Bears fans.
Love to hear it. Steve said the Lions, no surprise, as the Lions fan he is. Dane gave me a tip earlier that this might finally be the week, but he has a smile on his face.
Look at him grinning.
Give me the Bears.
Say it a little bit louder into the mic.
Give me the Bears.
He says the Bears. For the first time in Red Zone 2022 history, Dane Dreyfus has gone with the Bears.
What is he, 6 years in, 5 years in, and now he's finding himself, riding the bench. It sucks to see.
Former Heisman winner at that. It's something you've seen a couple times with a Heisman winner go on to the NFL and just not be able to find success between different teams. I mean, I think specifically of Tim Tebow, and obviously there are Heisman winners that do really well, but Baker Mayfield is quickly following in that Tebow path, although it actually is very similar because Baker's won a playoff game as well.
I had Anytime Tim Tebow mentioned in the show on my parlay, so I'm really happy that hit at plus 1,000 odds.
It was plus 1,000 for Anytime Tim Tebow mentioned?
Yeah, you gotta love Tebow.
That might be the only Tim Tebow mention of the season, I think.
No, now I'm definitely going to mention it next episode.
No, that's tampering because you just said it. We're going to call it for this edition of the Red Zone. Thank you for listening. I've been Mikey Fornelli alongside Dane Dreyfus, David Moses, and Kaylee Sugimoto. Have a great night. On Monday afternoon, Illinois State Volleyball's new leader made it clear that she is ready to take on her new role as a Redbird.
Coaching is a role, it's a passion, it's who I am, and I truly believe that it's something that I was called to do. It's mentorship, it's understanding, and it's empathy. Illinois State has made a commitment to women's sports for over 50 years. So if you're asking me why Illinois State, that's why.
Allie Matters joins ISU after spending the last 4 years in charge of Wright State. There she won 3 different Horizon League championships and went on to the NCAA tournament twice. Matters looks to carry this success over to an already talented ISU team.
The most important component of my coaching philosophy is relationships. I don't think you can coach someone until you know what motivates them, what scares them, and what they love most about the game. I have an incredible responsibility to my young women to encourage them, lead them, and mentor them.
Coming into her senior season after 3 straight Missouri Valley Conference championships, Redbird's Sarah Kushner says the team was anxious to meet their new coach, but already have confidence in her after one meeting.
I was pretty nervous going into it. I think it went great. She just has a lot of energy, and I feel like we vibed with her right away. I'm just super excited to get to know her more.
The Redbirds will have their first official practice led by Coach Matters next week. For WZND, I'm Mikey Fornelli.
It's Thomas Burks with the boot here to start the game. 2 Redbirds back. And we are underway from Hancock Stadium. That kick is in the air, and it is brought in at about the 10. He brings it out to about the 20. Gets to one defender, taken down hard by a Saluki. That's number 42 on the Saluki return team. That's Shane Roth. with a big tackle to stop the Redbirds at right about the 18. Annexstad puts Philippe Brown in motion from the shotgun, gets the snap, drops back, over across down the field, and he gets a target at about the 32-yard line. That was receiver Brock Annexstad, his brother, coincidentally. Nice to see those brothers with a connection. I bet they do that a couple times in the yard back in the day. And that's the first Redbird first down of the day. 13:58 here in the first. Redbirds onto their third play now. 1st and 10. Gets the snap. Multiple options in there, and he gets sacked by a flock of Redbirds. What a play there to take him down. What a crucial sack there by the Redbirds. That was, who else? Zeke Vanderberg with the major play on that one, although he was assisted by a group of his teammates. 4:41 here to go before we call it the second. I'm Mikey Fornelli alongside Julian Voss, and holding it down near Uptown in the WZND studio, that's Ben Howell. Thank you to Ben for spending his night down there. I don't know how it is down there, Ben, but out here at Hancock, it is beautiful. What a night for a football game.
Redbird football, only on 103.3 WZND, the pulse of Redbird Nation.
And in the end zone here at Hancock Stadium, Boomer Grimsby, a Redbird All-American linebacker from 2002, 2003, and 2004, and now he's a college football Hall of Famer. Pretty cool to have a Redbird be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Just like that, Boomer and crew are going to walk off the field, and the Redbirds defense will walk on where he once stood, trying to make a big stop here on 3rd down. Brown gets in position as a receiver. No one in the backfield, 3 to each side. That's a pass right across to Tala right away. Tala with a nice reception, play drawn up for him, and gets just enough yards needed. And they're going to move the chains for a Redbird first down. 3rd and 15. Annexstad looking for a big pass. Drops back, has some time in the pocket. Across to his brother Brock. He gets it out to the 50-yard line. Nice connection there for the Annexstad brothers. First down, Redbirds. 2nd and goal for the Redbirds. A couple more chances at what could be a game-altering touchdown. Annexstad puts a man in motion to his left. That's Philippe Brown in the backfield. 2 to his left, 1 to his right. Annexstad calls for the snap. Throws it to the corner. It's a touchdown, Redbirds! The Redbirds get another one there, and all of a sudden this game is not over, folks. From Hancock Stadium, now we have a 19-13 score. What a pass, what a drive.
Since 1972, women in collegiate sports have had a lot to celebrate. That said, there has been and continues to be a significant amount of misrepresentation, sexism, and an unbalanced lack of attention towards women's athletics in the last 50 years. Starting with the issue of misrepresentation in coaching, recently hired ISU swimming and diving head coach Caitlin Hamilton says some sports have seen a lot more progress than others.
It felt like every program had this token female at a time. It started to change in the last couple of years, but you still look around, and as far as sports go, we're one of the worst at having women on deck, especially in head coaching roles.
Data compiled by NCAA Champion Magazine's Lauren Stark shares that at Title IX's founding in 1972, women held head coaching positions in 90% of all women's collegiate athletic programs. Today, they make up for less than half. Hamilton shared her own experience as a former athlete and now coach to illustrate this need for female representation in coaching to return.
Our voice matters. Our presence matters. What we're able to teach these young women from a women's perspective really, truly is impactful.
One of Caitlin's student athletes, sophomore swimmer Miley Simons, saw an even bigger lack of women in coaching at home in Utah in lower levels before she came to Illinois State, with a hopeless future until more women are given a chance to prove themselves.
I feel like people tend to underestimate females with sports, and they don't realize that females can actually be good coaches too. Sometimes people don't give the female athletes the chance.
Although these misrepresentation issues should not be overlooked, it is interesting to hear the perspective of Nora Janka, a sophomore on the Redbird volleyball team. After growing up in Austria and not having much choice of sports to pick from, Janka notices much more opportunity for female athletes in the United States.
We don't even have women's soccer. We only have men's soccer. That's say like the biggest difference to here, where like volleyball is big and track and field is big, and like soccer, like women's soccer is really big as well. So I think that's like interesting to see, like, oh, in other countries, like women's sports actually do matter.
Yet despite these freedoms in the United States, Redbirds volleyball head coach Leah Johnson points out that the treatment of women in athletics, specifically by some media, is completely unfair as opposed to men. This season, Johnson has encouraged her team to read Wolfpack, a book written by U.S. Women's Soccer World Cup champion Abby Wambach.
It's interesting to hear from that perspective that she is comfortable saying, I was the best all time when I played. You don't hear a lot of women say that because then we are labeled as arrogant, full of ourselves. Where you hear men say that and they're like, look how confident he is. Like, he's the one.
Johnson says the root of all these problems and hypocrisy goes back to the lack of female representation in coaching, especially in positions in men's athletics.
How do you rid the idea of, oh, that's just locker room talk? Well, you put a woman in that locker room. And I guarantee you that locker room talk changes. Because when you have to see the person that you're talking about, and not that that's always what locker room talk is, but when you're confronted with that same person every day and they're humanized, you're much more accountable for the things you say, think, feel. Good culture is diverse culture. But when there's never a woman in the room for any of our male sports, are we really giving them the best experience we can? I don't believe so.
For Bird's Eye View and WZND, I'm Mikey Fornelli.
That one sent deep to left field. Cermak's watching as he goes out to first. That's going, gone, and Ryan Cermak is tied for second all-time in Illinois State total single-season home runs. That's his 19th. He joins Brad James and Mike Pryor with 19 home runs. Move over, guys. Ryan Cermak is now second on that list.
And that's a fantastic start for this Redbirds offense. They had a lot of offense yesterday, and now they're getting off on the right foot, scoring first. That's a really big deal for ISU. And now let's see what the offense has behind them.
What a start for Ryan Cermak, now officially in a three-way tie for second all-time in single-season home runs for the Illinois State program. That is a great crowd to be in.